bit, just so we properly seated. Make sure that our pelvis is turned forward slightly. So if we're sitting on a chair, it might be helpful to use a towel or a cushion to sit on, so we have our pelvis turned forward a little bit. I mean, tilted forward. This will help us to sit with a straight back. But if we did not prepare such a thing, then don't worry about it, maybe another time. It's important that we sit with a straight back, comfortable and yet alert. We might want to lean a little bit if our back is not too strong. But if we lean, we just lean a little bit, not too much. Whether we are sitting on a chair or sitting on the floor, we can put our right hand on the left, with the index finger of the right hand touching against the left thumb. If you are not familiar with this position, please come to the temple sometimes so you can study it in depth. The reason why we hold and put our right hand on the left with the right index finger touching against the left thumb, this is because this will be a little thermometer. It's our little meter. If we are very tense, then our index finger and our thumb will be very tensely pushing each other. If, on the other hand, we are very sleepy or distracted, we might find that our thumb and index finger are no longer touching each other. So this is how we measure our mind and heart. It helps us in this way. Let us relax body and mind, starting with our eyes. Relaxing every part of our eyes. And then we relax our forehead, our jaws, and then we go to the back of our head, relaxing every single part, including the part where our neck touches our skull. We relax our neck and shoulders. We also relax our chest and our abdomen. Then we go back and we relax our shoulders, our arms, our hands and fingers. Then we go back again and we relax our shoulder blades, our back, our hips. We then continue by relaxing our legs until we reach our feet. We now feel our body relaxing itself. Every muscle gradually softens. Every body cell gradually relaxes. Our body becomes a little lighter. Our head becomes a little lighter. We find that our muscles are resting. We no longer have to keep them tense in order to prepare ourselves. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to go anywhere. Once we are able to relax and let go of our body, we can then fully devote ourselves to our mind and heart. There will be many thoughts that pop up in our mind and linger there. We will sometimes have nice thoughts, maybe plans, pleasure, fun, and sometimes we just are just pondering memories and so on. But now we have to be a little bit strict with ourselves. If we find that we are wandering off or enjoying our memories or plans, we have to go back to our body and we allow those thoughts to be. We do not fully cut them out. We simply don't spend any time on them. This is something we can learn. We simply allow our thoughts to be. Just like a grandparent who is wise and has a certain poise, just watches his or her grandchildren playing in the garden, playing in the yard. Without having to control much, just looking at the children without getting involved. And also without wandering off. The grandparent just sits on the bench, enjoying the view. And sometimes we might have thoughts that feel not good, thoughts of pain, frustration, or fear. These we also have to tolerate. There's no use to resist those thoughts. They will only come back. We simply allow those thoughts to be in the same way. But we do not get involved. Eventually, our thoughts are like the clouds in the sky that appear and disappear, that come and go. And our mind is like the blue, vast, spacious sky. And every cloud has its place, has its space. And we don't have to get involved at all. Our mind becomes idle, just being in the present moment with a neutral stance. We feel satisfied, even if we are still feeling some stress or tension. We are satisfied with whatever peace we are experiencing. We don't need to search for perfection, but perfection will come to us as soon as we understand and feel satisfied just being with ourselves. Once we have been able to relax our mind and feel some satisfaction, some contentment, just being in the present moment, we then return to the center space within. The center space within, or the center of our body, is always there. We only need to return to it. We are now already familiar with it. We just get back to it. The center of our body, the core of our being. And we simply just touch our center space. We are aware of its existence. We are aware of its position inside ourselves, inside our abdomen, at the core of our being. Now, sometimes this is sufficient. We simply reconfirm the center of our body as often as we like. Whenever we feel distracted or disconnected, we then reconfirm this place inside of us. But sometimes we want to have some tools. Then we can use a memory, the memory of a little sun shining inside. And sometimes it may not fully appear to us. It may just be partly visible or be a bit dark, but that's quite okay, because it will grow clearer after a while. This image of the sun is helping us to reconnect, to mark the spot. When we mark the spot inside, it's easy to get back. Or we can imagine a little moon, like a little white moon shining with a cool glance. Sometimes some people are using the traditional image of a crystal sphere. If we are already familiar with this, we can do so as well. but other people find they are not familiar with such a sphere. Sometimes we feel like using an image. Other times we feel like we like to use a mantra. Listening to the mantra, resonating from inside of us, deeply within. We can listen to these sounds. Sammaran, sammaran, sammaran. And we can continue to listen as long as it still helps us to reconnect and reconfirm the center space. Let us practice together in silence for these remaining moments of peace. Before we come to the end of today's meditation, we can spend a few moments to share this good energy, this peaceful force of this meditation that we have done together, and share it with all our loved ones. We can allow their faces or their names to pop up at the center of our body. We then continue sharing this meditation with them, that they may be happy, be free from suffering. We also share this meditation with all the people in the world, all the people that we know, but also the people that we do not know, the people who we like, but also the people who we do not like, people who live close and people who live far, people who are happy and people who suffer. May all find more happiness, even those who suffer from war, from hunger, or other difficulty. May all be happy and free from suffering. We then come to the final moment of this meditation when we come back to our senses. We can hear the sounds around us. We can listen to the birds singing outside. We can feel how we are sitting on the floor, on a seat. We can feel our body again, our hands and feet. Before we open our eyes, we remind ourselves that the center of the body is always there for us. And whenever we are in need, we can always reconnect. It will help us to find mindfulness, to find poise, and to find peace. When we come to the end of the meditation, we open our eyes, and then I will wrap up the meditation with a short chant from the Pali tradition. Sappe Buddha Palapata Pache Kanan Sayang Palang Arahanta Nanchate Narakang Pantami Sapaso Sapaputhanupavena Sapathammanupavena Sapasankhanupavena Sata Soti Bhavantu Te.
Sophia. Sophia. Sophia.
So, how was the meditation? Did you feel comfortable? May I see a few hands who felt peaceful today? All right. And maybe some of you also could connect with the center. Did you connect with the center today? A few. Okay. Remember, if you cannot yet connect with the center, do not worry. Do not seek for it. Do not search for it. It will come to you when you are more peaceful. The center will present itself. But give it some time. And if it's helpful at all, we can sometimes allow the center to expand to any size we like. Even our entire body could be like the center of the universe. If you think of it like that, it's very similar to the biblical expression that if you can't bring Moses to the mountain, then bring the mountain to Moses, right? So if we cannot find the center, then let the center find us. Now today, I would like to talk a little bit about just a moment, my mouse pointer just disappeared on me. Yes, so I'd like to talk a little bit about the Thai New Year. Well, not exactly the Thai New Year only, but I would like to talk about the meaning of giving blessings in Buddhism. And that may sound like a very religious topic, but actually blessings in Buddhism have a very pre-Buddhist, date back to a pre-Buddhist tradition of what is known as Satchakiriya, or having speaking out an act of truth. So let us talk a little bit about that. First of all, you may be familiar with the Thai New Year. I don't have any picture of it, but there is a moment when all the people, the first step is that everyone will honor the Buddha, his teaching and his community by pouring some water on the Buddha image. Maybe you've seen that. Or pouring some water on an image of a teacher. This is like a way to show respect, because water was quite a precious thing in the ancient times. And also, it's a way to clean, to honor by cleanliness. Perhaps in ancient India, as they still do today, they used milk. But in Thailand, milk has not always been available, so we use water. So this is the first step. But the second step that I would like to talk about mostly today is the moment when all the elders of the community, all the elderly people, not everyone wants to fit in that group, but anyway, they are asked to be seated in front of the congregation, and then everyone in the congregation will queue up, will line up, and will ask for their blessings and express their forgiveness. They ask for their forgiveness. So, for example, suppose I am a young monk. I could, well, monks do not have exactly this tradition. We do this at another time. But anyway, suppose I am a young person, then I go to see my elder in the village, and then I ask for his forgiveness. May you forgive me for the Thai New Year. And then the elder will give a blessing. May you live long. May you have a good life. May you find happiness and prosperity, and so on. Now you may wonder, why is this tradition, where does it come from? It comes from ancient Buddhist customs of asking each other for forgiveness, traditionally known in the Pali text tradition as Khamma. Khamma is asking for forgiveness, to start over. It's not exactly anything like that in our Western culture, but there are some other, we do like, or we all like to start anew. It's a good thing to start anew. Now, let's talk a little bit more about those blessings. You know, and it's not only an Asian tradition. For example, Ireland is known for its traditional blessings. I always thought that these were like memes that were thought of, where just, you know, somebody came up with those very recently or something, but they turn out to be translations of ancient Irish. For example, this one: may your troubles be less and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness comes through your door. This is an ancient Irish blessing. These are actually legitimate. I actually checked some of these. So, you know, we do have them in the West. So what is a blessing? Blessing is to bestow good of any kind upon someone, usually in speech or writing. But in Asia, it's mostly speech, not necessarily religious. We can give a blessing on many occasions, and it's not always a religious thing. There is, of course, the idea which is expressed in the famous book, The Secret. Have you read that perhaps? Some of you may have read it. The Secret expresses the idea that if we often think of something, then it will come to fruition in our lives, which is then is said to derive from the Bible or from some ancient philosophy. This is actually a very modern idea. It's not really that ancient. It's known as New Thought. It's a movement in America that started as a result of some ideas in modern Hinduism. Ancient ideas about how our wishes come true are usually that we have to do something and then they come true. We do a good karma, we do a good thing to honor our teachers, to honor our parents, or to do simply practice some generosity, or practice even some meditation. And by that energy, we then can make a wish for something or make a resolve for something. So this is a slightly different idea, and some teachers in our tradition have talked about the secret behind the secret. But let's come back to the topic. Blessings, we give them at many occasions: birthday, childbirth, wedding, New Year, and even many greetings in our daily lives are actually kind of blessings. When we say to somebody, good afternoon, is actually a blessing. May you have a good day. May you have a good afternoon. They are actually blessings in disguise. We don't think about them. Even if we say good night, this may be a sort of blessing, like you want those people to be safe so you can still see them in the morning. Which may have been, you know, more relevant in the past when villages were sometimes, you know, sometimes there may have been less safe circumstances. Even just the word see you later is a sort of blessing, because we want to see that person later, so may they be safe in the meantime. It is said that during during the pandemic in the 1910s, about over 100 years ago, when there was the first, one of the first great pandemics in the world, which was the Spanish fever. The Spanish fever, during the Spanish fever, it's said that it was common to always ask people about their health and to give a blessing for their health. So we can find a similar tradition today, especially during the COVID, in the midst of the COVID crisis, that everyone was asking about each other's health and everyone was giving each other blessings of safety and health. Oh, may you all be safe, take good care. You know, we hear everyone say that because it's a concern. So blessings are very much part of our lives. So what is not giving a blessing according to Buddhism? Well, it's not just a matter of good manners. It's not just a matter of good manners, okay? Or to forswear something, that's not the same. For example, if somebody says, bless you, and you then say, well, may you, well, you know, when somebody sneezes and you say, bless you, that's trying to forswear some danger. The Buddha was actually quite critical of that. When there was one instance in the Buddhist text when the Buddha actually sneezed, and this has actually been recorded in the Buddhist text, and then some monks told him, you know, may you have a long life, similar to the expression, bless you. And then he said, why would you say that? Does it give me a longer life? So he actually didn't approve of that. We shouldn't just say something to forswear some illness or to forswear something we are afraid of. Or if you say, I swear upon my life, or I swear upon my mother's life, this is something we do not often do anymore in the West, but sometimes it's still common in some Asian countries. This is also nothing to do with a blessing. So what is the principles of giving a blessing in Buddhism? First of all, we have to refer to some truth. If you are a religious person, you might want to refer to the truth of the person or the tradition that you believe in. If you believe in Jesus, you might refer to the truth that Jesus, you know, came on earth to teach something good. Or if you are a Buddhist, you might refer to the truth of the awakening of the Buddha, of his enlightenment. You can also refer to the truth of your good deeds, the things that are good that you have done. For example, I've always taken good care of my children. I've always seen them fed. I've always brought them to school, taken good care of them, make sure that they are good citizens of this society. By the power of this truth, may you be well. Or I've always taken good care of you, always been loyal to you. By the power of this loyalty and care, may you be well. Or I've always adhered to the 5 moral precepts of Buddhism, for example. By the truth of this, may you be well, may you be happy. You see what I mean? We have a truth, and then we give a blessing based on that truth. We can also refer, as monks often do, to the truth of the good deeds that the person has done that is sitting in front of you. For example, this is how we give a blessing every day in our temple. This is also in the United Kingdom or in any European country for that matter. This is the blessing we give after the meal. Apiwa thanasili sani chang vuttha pachayino chattaro dhamma vatanti ayuvanno sukhang palang. You can spell this as Watta or Wutta, both are possible. This one, Wutta, you can say Wutta or Watta, you can do both. And this means that to him who practices respectful salutation, constantly respecting his elders, four things increase: age, beauty, happiness, and strength. In other words, today you have come to bring me food. You have paid your respect to the monks, to the monastic community. Because of that goodness that you have done, because of that truth, may you find a long life, which is in other words, a long age, a long life. May you find beauty, happiness, and strength in your life. So the idea is that we refer to the truth of the goodness. And when somebody gives a meal, they also give strength. So it's only normal that they will receive that strength. And then we remind them of that. So you can see there are actually two principles. The one is truth, and the other one is the law of karma. But, you know, the main point is that you say those words to remind people of the truth of their goodness. And then you give a blessing based on that. So in our daily lives, how can we give a blessing in our daily lives? There's many ways we can do that. First of all, it's important that you make your own resolution. The karma and truth that you have done in your life, the good things that you have done, you can think about some truth. As I already mentioned, you can think about a religious truth. If you believe in some religious truth, you can think about that. But you can also think about something good that you have always done in your life. Everyone has done some good. Do not look down on yourself. Everyone has done some good. And then we build on that. We can build on goodness. This is what the Buddha said. He said, when we do something good every day, we should think of it like the rain falling in a, what do you call it, a ton of water. You know, it just falls and drops, and eventually the ton of water is filled. The jar, you can call it a jar or something, a jar of water is filled because of all those raindrops. You know, in the same way, we do something good every day, a little bit of good every day. We give somebody encouragement. We practice some generosity. We stick to our moral principles. We meditate. And then that goodness, it starts to gather. We start to notice we do things differently. We respond differently to others. We become wiser and more patient. This is the truth. And with that truth, we can also provide goodness to others, even just by speaking. There's a story that is very famous when it comes to giving blessings within the Buddhist text. This is a drawing that depicts that story. This is not the most beautiful drawing, but I couldn't find any better one. This is Angulimala. Do you know Angulimala? There's a famous organization in the United Kingdom that was named after him. It's the chaplaincy organization that I mentioned before. It's called Angulimala in the United Kingdom. It was founded by a monk who has the same name as me, the same monastic name, Khemmadhammo. Anyway, to come back to this idea of giving a blessing based on truth. Angulimala, he had been a mass murderer. Did you know that? He had killed many people. You couldn't describe him as a sort of mass murderer, or you could also describe him as sort of brilliant, somebody who killed a lot of people or robbed them of their possessions. But mostly he killed a lot. There's some discussion among scholars whether he belonged to some violent cult before he came into contact with Buddhism. Because there have been violent cults in ancient India that sometimes honored a god of warfare or a god of violence, and in that way believed that the warfare was some way to honor their god and to kill people in order to honor him. Fortunately, this is not very common anymore, but some groups of people still existed in the early modern times, and they were called sometimes Taki, where the modern word tak is derived from. Anyway, to come back to the story, Angulimala therefore came from a very violent habit. He killed a lot of people. But one day he met the Buddha, and the Buddha, he used some mind trick. He used some trick or some psychic power, and Angulimala could not catch him. And every time he tried to catch him, the Buddha was gone again. And then he shouted out to the Buddha, "Stop, monk, stop." And then the Buddha said, "I have already stopped. When will you stop?" These are the famous words which he said. And then the Angulimala came to insight. He just flipped the switch. He flipped the switch, and then suddenly he completely changed his life. He started to become he started to regret all the things that he had done, and he became a monk. But because he had been a killer, a mass killer, for such a long time, many people could not accept him as a monk. Then the Buddha came with an idea. He said to Angulimala, there's a mother, there's a woman who is giving birth to a child, and there are complications. She might not survive the childbirth. You go and see this woman, and you may not be a doctor, but you can use you can use the healing science of truth. You go to that woman and you say to her, "Since the moment I was born, I've never killed a single being. Not even a fly," if you would like to use the English expression. I have not even killed a fly. And then Angulimala, he objected. He said, "But sir, I have killed many people. This is my problem." This is the very point. And then the Buddha, he said, "Yes, but you have now been reborn in the monk's life." So Angulimala, he got it. He suddenly understood. And then he went to there and he told her exactly that. He said to her, "I have now been reborn in this life, and I've never killed another single living being anymore." These famous words that he said to this woman had such a power, because he changed his life by such a tremendous effort, that the woman was able to give a safe childbirth. Remember, he did not use any fancy medicine. He did not get a magical wand or something like that. He just simply used speech, the power of words, right? These are the words that he said. Sister, he called her sister, which is a term of respect. "Sister, since I was born with a noble birth, I do not recall that I've ever intentionally deprived a living being of life. By this truth, may you be well, and may your infant be well." In the Pali, we chant, "Yato hang pakini jato napi chanami sanchichapanang chivita voropeta. Tena sachena soti te hotu soti kampasa." Which means this. So these are the words of Angulimala that are still repeated many places in the world today, just to be on the safe side. In any case, just in the case that there's a woman who is pregnant sitting in the audience, and then this will be a blessing to her, because the one person that had been so violently killing so many people, he was able to change violence into creativity, into something beautiful. And therefore, this is the very thing that childbirth is about, that we leave behind all our destructive tendencies, and we become a parent, and we become a creative person in that process. So this is a very beautiful blessing as well. And so these blessings are often sung by monks to point out to the truth of the goodness that has been done. So to come back to the question I asked for, when you give a blessing yourself, how do you do that? Well, you first make your own resolution. You think about the karma and truth, the force from which the blessing comes. And you then wish for things that will really help in the good, spiritual, and wise life. So the person you're giving the blessing to, you say, for the Thai New Year, may you find health and wisdom in your life. There should be things that are really helpful. Do not give a blessing for somebody that you may have many children or something. That's not always helpful. No, not everybody wants many children, you know. Or may you find many husbands or something. Or may you find a good husband. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But do not just say, may you find a husband, because maybe it will be a terrible husband. So anyway, so we have to give a wise blessing based on our own truth that we've thought about. And when you are giving a blessing to somebody who is less experienced than you in the spiritual life, maybe those are children or people who are younger than you, then you can give some advice together with that blessing. But it should be advice that you have already taken to your own heart as well, that you have already taken to heart for your own being, for your own life as well. For example, you could give a blessing to your children or grandchildren. May you find happiness and peace in your life. May you find wisdom. May you be intelligent and use your intelligence in the right way. And these sort of blessings are all very good. And then you give an advice that if you want to be a smart kid, you should always do your homework well. But ideally, this should be something that we have done ourselves before. If we're never able to make our own homework, maybe we should give another blessing. So there's a story to end with that Gandhi, you know, the famous Indian man, he was once asked by a mother of a child to give a blessing and to give some advice to her child, that he should take good care of his health and should not eat so much sugar. And then Gandhi said, well, come back tomorrow. So the mother, he didn't say come back tomorrow, he said come back in another week. And then another week, the mother came back, and then she asked him again, could you just talk to my child and tell him to eat less sugar, less sugary things, less sweets? And then Gandhi did exactly that. And he gave the child some blessing, and he gave him some advice. And then everyone said, well, is that, then the mother said to Gandhi, well, why did you not do that the previous time? There's not much to it. And then Gandhi said, last week, I was still eating sugary things. So sometimes we have to remind ourselves to be a good example, and by the truth of our goodness and the truth of the things we believe in, we can then give a blessing. This is the most beautiful way to give a blessing, and we can use it in our daily lives. When we meet somebody, we can in this way express our loving kindness. So giving a blessing isn't just an empty custom, and it's not only a religious thing, but it's a way to practice loving kindness, and it's a mental practice as well. So I'd like to share this. So I'd like to share this teaching with you for today. I also like to give you the chance if you would like to ask any questions. The 22nd, which is in 2 weeks, is Earth Day. Now on Earth Day, I will be giving a teaching. This will be at the following information. you can find the following, the details of that guided meditation and teaching that I will be giving on that day, and many other teachers that will be teaching. This is for the program known as Peace Revolution, which is a youth network connected to our temple. I will share the link with you in the chat if you want to join. This is in 2 weeks. It's also known as Earth Day, the 22nd of April. I believe that Earth Day is actually several days in a row, but this is often celebrated in our temple because it's the birthday of our abbot and teacher in Thailand, Longpo Dhammakaya. So on this day, there will be many programs, and you can find those if you click on the link in the chat box below, where you can see the little balloon which says chat. That is the chat box. So this is something I'd like to share with you if you'd like to join. And on the website, you can find more details. And in 2 weeks, I will be teaching again. Next week, we will have another teacher. Who will be teaching next week, Nancy? I give the floor back to you, and you can tell everyone who will be teaching next week. So good luck to you all, and I'll give the floor back to Nancy.
Thank you, Dr. Lumpy Sander. That's very helpful Dhamma talk today. Next week gonna be Lumpy Nicholas. He will be a teaching monk. All right. Today, I hope everyone enjoy our Dhamma talk and also meditation. If anyone would like to pay respect to Lumpy Sander, please bow 3 times. Bow, bow, bow.
May you find peace and happiness in your life. May you find blessings in your life. May you find wisdom in your life and truth. And may you be able to share it with others, like a good spiritual friend for yourself and others, paying back and paying forward at the same time. May you always find wisdom on your path and attain the inner brightness of the Dhammakaya through meditation for a long time. Sadhu.
Sadhuเจ้าค่ะ Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Terry, Christian, Natalie, our co-MC.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, พี่วี ครูอมพรค่ะ Martin, Sapphire.
Respect.
Thank you, everybody.
And Tony here as well. Tony here.
Hi, Tony. Hello. Thank you, everyone. See you next
See you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.